All right, welcome in everyone to the Monday edition of Onward to Victory. We're glad to have you all listening to us today. My name is Noah Reed, joined as always with
Wolter-Sánchez
and Jordan Talley.
Man, it's crazy. We're here for episode 5. 5 weeks have gone by. I mean, it's October, spooky season. Things are just rolling. That being said, I've got an icebreaker for you guys. What's been the most memorable part of your ASU experience so far?
I would definitely say, I'm a little biased as a sports journalist, but I would definitely say one of my most memorable moments was that first college football experience. Before I came to ASU, I had never been to a college football game, so being there, being in the student section especially, and having on my ASU gear and getting to root for my team and having that sense of pride, I would definitely say was a very memorable experience, especially since it's been such a fun season so far.
Yeah, for sure, me too. Before I came to ASU as well, I'd never also been to even a real football game, watching it. I was a cheerleader, so I was always there doing stuff and not actually sitting down enjoying it as a fan. But for sure, that was the Wyoming game was obviously a great first game to come to, as well as this past game for Parents Weekend against Kansas University Jayhawks. It was just such an amazing game for us for ASU, and the atmosphere was awesome. Parents Weekend, I was there with my parents, and it was just definitely one to remember.
I think for me, I kind of got my broadcasting start with soccer way back when I was a sophomore, and that's kind of when things kicked off for me, and I was like, oh gosh, I kind of really want to do this. And so it's almost a full circle when last Sunday I got to go to a ASU women's soccer game, which I started with high school women's soccer, and to be on that soccer field, it kind of took me right back to, being a sophomore. I was like, wow, this is so cool to be back, at the soccer field where the start all began. So it's just funny how things go full circle, but we have a full slate of actions today, and we'll kick things off with the football game. You guys touched on it earlier. The Sun Devil squad put up their first conference win on the board in front of a sellout crowd, guys. 54,000 people attended, a 35-31 victory over the Kansas Jayhawks. This moves the Sun Devils into the Big 12 in a tie for 6th with Kansas State. What are you guys thinking?
It's definitely crazy that we've had this many, we broke attendance records with the other 2 home games, and considering, I know you were there, but considering the temperatures, the fact that we had that many people there and excited for ASU football, and even staying there considering the rocky first half that Sun Devil football had, didn't seem like it was going to pan out very well, but we were able to pick it up and take the win in an exciting end.
Yeah, for sure. Just the environment was absolutely electric with even the heat. I've been to every single home game so far, and nothing has been as bad as that, even in the student section where everyone's jumping around, everyone's hyped, everyone is standing the whole time. This was hard to bear. It was so hot, but I mean, the team was hot on the field. The first half was rough. Couple of missed passes, couple of costing catches or fumbles. But
the field goal was rough.
The field goal, very rough. I remember looking away for 1 second and coming back, and I was like, what just happened? But it was just unbelievable, the performance they got up and they put up in the second half. They must have had a talk in the locker room. This is not the foundations we are building for this season, and we've got to bring it up from here.
Yeah, I think that talk kind of centered around Jordan Tyson. The redshirt sophomore, he had probably one of the best, but also almost one of the worst games of his college career. After a pair of mistakes in the first half that saw a fumble and a tipped pass cost the Sun Devils, he was able to find magic with QB Sam Lovett for his first ever multi-touchdown game. Impressive stat for Jordan Tyson, and it's good to see that. I know he got his first touchdown with the Sun Devils a few weeks back, and to see kind of that evolution into this player where, you can take a little bit of that stress early, but I feel like what defines a great player is when you have those moments of adversity and you can rise up. But I will say, as a 49ers fan, field goals have been rough for me as a football fan the last 48 hours.
How many times have I watched those games with the 49ers versus the Seahawks? I mean, hey, I'm on the other end of that one.
Well, we do have some tough sledding ahead. I want to just drop a quote from head coach Kenny Dillingham. This is what he told reporters during our post-game press conference quote, "So I don't know how we got a schedule where we have 6 days and they have a bye week, but it's possibly the worst scenario you could ever have, having a short week when another team has a bye." And that other team, they are the Utah Utes. They were a ranked team coming into the year. However, they've got a questionable quarterback. Cam Rising sustained an injury to his throwing hand several weeks ago. He's been listed as week to week. The team did lose to U of A prior to their bye week. But this is going to be a really critical matchup to see how ASU can rebound after only having 6 days. You know, you guys both touched on it. It was a hot game. It was an intense game, whereas now they're going against a team that is not only ranked, they have a proven track record. I just want to know, what are the expectations for the Sun Devils, and how can they possibly overcome this tough opponent?
I know definitely after the surprising start that we've had as a football team, this last game was definitely a test. Like, was this beginning sort of a fluke? I mean, we've had the number of wins. We've now passed that number of wins that we've had last year. And I feel like this game is really the ultimate test. The last game was sort of like, was that loss sort of just a little, fumble, first Big 12 game? How is it going to play from here? But now this is, Kansas was only 1-4, I think, heading into that game against ASU. But now I feel like we have, not to say that the Jayhawks aren't real competition, but we have some scary competition this Friday, and going off of not the best rest, like Dillingham said. So it's definitely going to be more of a test, and especially after we saw how rough that first half was and we barely came out of this game, it'll be very interesting to see how the Sun Devils fix their mistakes from this game and revamp for Friday.
Yeah, for sure. And we were just coming off a bye week. So that, I feel like that can be hopeful a little bit. They've had some time to rest before. But yes, it is a short week. And like in any football, NFL, collegiate, anything, it's always a disadvantage to have a short week, especially when your opponent is coming off of a bye, resting up those players. Like you said, they have a questionable quarterback that he could have had a little extra time to nurse that injury he was having, whatever. But, you just can't let that stop you. If you want to have a championship contending team, you have to push through those tough times when you're coming into a short week off of an opponent's bye. Like, you just yeah, it's tough, but it's something that this will be a test for the Sun Devils and their, not only their ability to win, but as well as their toughness and their mental strength to push through this hard schedule coming up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and again, I think we're gonna see a bit of a struggle. We're gonna have some more highs, lows. Cam Scatterboom named co-offensive player of the week by the Big 12. So when the offense was alive, it was good. However, we are going to be missing a couple of key tools in the defense. Linebacker Keyshawn Elliott and Clayton Smith were ejected last week. They got dinged for targeting calls against the Jayhawks. But we'll see what happens when things come down to the wire on Friday. It's going to be a 7:30 kickoff, so hopefully, fingers crossed, should be a little cooler by 7:30. Yeah. And I was checking the forecast. We might actually dip below 100 degrees here in Arizona, if you can believe that.
Wow, in October.
First time for football, for sure.
Now, we've got some more topics, and oh my gosh, Jordan, you have been freaking out all day. Take it away.
So, hockey season is back in full-fledged in the desert. I'm so excited. Every single team at ASU has played this week, and they've come out with one, if not two victories. Like my sweatshirt I'm wearing here says, hockey is in the desert, okay? We have our athlete of the week is Bennett Shimmick for ASU NCAA Division I hockey. ASU hockey had one of their opening games of the season on a road trip to Colorado to play the U.S. Air Force Academy. Bennett Shimmick, pardon me, I'm so excited. Shimmick is a 6-foot-tall junior forward coming into his first season as an ASU Sun Devil, a transfer from Providence College, a opponent that ASU hockey knows very well. But get this. In the 8-1 victory that ASU was managed over the Air Force Academy, Bennett put up a hat trick in his first game as a Sun Devil. So he came out of that game with, I think, 4 points, so 3 goals and an assist for him that night. Absolutely stellar performance. I don't know when the last time I've seen even those numbers in the NHL, but he is in the weekend, he exited the weekend with 6 points. Unfortunately, they did lose to in their second game of the week on Saturday night with a different goaltender in the crease. But just a crazy opening performance for ASU hockey that just makes me so excited. He came from Providence with 17 points in 34 games played last season with 8 goals and 9 assists, 6 on the team. So, I mean, kind of not above average stats, but, like, obviously he's showing his dominance on the ASU ice already. So, like, how does this guy's... I know you guys aren't hockey fans, but, like, seeing that, like, how does this make you feel about ASU hockey in the desert?
No, it's definitely exciting. I mean, as somebody that's not as experienced in hockey as you are, and as someone who's not very familiar with ASU hockey in general, I mean, as a first game and even just an 8-1 victory in general seems like an amazing start for hockey and just an amazing way to start off the weekend.
For sure.
I mean, Mullet Arena is one of the places that I have been told is a must go. When you were in Tempe, I have been told you obviously got to go, to the football games. You've got to check out the dining hall, what I've heard. But you've also got to check out Mullet Arena. It's apparently a beautiful facility. I don't know if you can touch on that later on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's definitely on my bucket list. I can't wait to get down there. I think now that I've started to kind of organize my schedule here, I'm going to start going to Tempe more often to try and go to some games. I know I got a couple of soccer games I want to check out. I heard there's going to be a epic volleyball showdown between Arizona State and U of A this week, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm just excited. Yeah, and along with our ASU Athlete of the Week, Bennett Shimmick won Forward of the Week for the NCHC, which is the new conference that ASU is a part in. It was arguably the best conference to be in for collegiate hockey. I mean, first week, and we also have ASU has 2 skaters who were a part of these Athletes of the Week. Noah Beck won Defenseman of the Week. So, lot to look forward to with this hot ASU hockey team. You can catch the Sun Devils this weekend as they host the Michigan Wolverines in front of the Inferno in Tempe this Friday and Saturday at 3:30 and 5 p.m. I know I'll be there.
Sounds very exciting. I'm definitely want to try to check that out.
Now we're going to take a little bit of a transition, move into things where it got a little windy because Arizona State picked up its 19th team title under head coach Missy Farquet last Tuesday in the 2024 Windy City Collegiate Classic Championship. It's a highly touted tournament that featured 10 of the top 25 teams from the Golf Channel's preseason rankings, and the Sun Devils picked up the win, their second since they got the victory back in 2017. They were led by sophomore redshirt Patience Rhodes, who shot a 70. It was her third consecutive top 6 finish. How are you guys feeling about Sun Devil golf?
I mean, Sun Devil golf, both men's and women's, is known not only in Arizona, but around the country and around the world. We have great players, as we've talked about in previous shows. We have lots of foreign talent, not only in golf, but obviously across our athletics. But in golf specifically, we just had a player win the Asian Pacific. Obviously, Jose Le, we talk about him all the time. Spanish champion, American champion. And obviously, the women are nothing short of amazing as well.
For sure. I feel like that's also one of our themes on Onward to Victory here is women's athletics is so important in ASU sports. They're consistently just great and amazing across all the ranks, but even in a sport not as popular as basketball or volleyball or soccer, we have ASU women's golf just hitting those titles, getting those championships, putting up the numbers, and bringing back those victories to their school. I just think that's I'm impressed. I will say that.
I think another big thing about golf as well, both men's and women's, is the consistency along the team. Not only individually, because golf is obviously a big individual sport, but the consistency that these players have individually and as a team to gain these titles and to win these tournaments is amazing.
Well, you touched on it right there, and that's the stat that I was going to highlight. They had 5 golfers in the top 20. You had juniors Beth Coulter and Paula Solch Hansen. You also had Isla McDonald O'Brien and Grace Summerhays. That was the 5 in the top 20, and Coach Farquet was so impressed. This is what she said about the performance. I don't know when the last time we had all 5 members of our team finishing in the top 20. That's pretty phenomenal. I can't remember when we've done that, especially in a field this strong. I think, again, it touches on what you said. Is it's not like ASU is coming out to a small tournament and they're showing up in force. They went out to Chicago. They showed up. They put 5 in the top 20. They won the tournament. And I know that you've gotten closer and closer with this golf team with WCSN. I don't know if you have any more insight you want to share, but it's just amazing to see that they put 5 in the top 20. That just jumped out to me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, consistently, obviously, women haven't yet had 5 in the top 20, but, I mean, with every tournament, you at least see one player in the top 20, and at least all of them, if not a majority of them, finish in the top 50, which is just an amazing thing to see, because obviously, like I said, it's an individual sport, but it's also, they're gaining titles individually and as a team, and even though we talk about the men's golf team a lot, women's is nothing short of amazing as well.
For sure, for sure.
All right, moving on to our Arizona high school prospect. We got baseball on the docket this week, and I know we got a very passionate baseball fan in the house. Take it away, Ella.
Yeah, guilty. This one was mine. So even though baseball is not yet in season, excuse me, our high school prospect is baseball player Boston Kellner from Hamilton High School, and he's class of 2025 and an infielder, and he is the top-ranked baseball player in Arizona in the class of 2025 by Prep Baseball, and he is consistently ranked first or second in Arizona across several websites, several organizations, and he actually moved from Colorado to Arizona to play baseball because, as you know, baseball is a year-round sport here in Arizona. Mm-hmm. We have spring training, we have fall league coming up, and we have, obviously, MLB. And he plays for a traveling team, the Canes National Mets Scouts team. So over the summer, he played for the Mets under, their high school team, and he was the 6A Conference Player of the Year by the State Association with a batting average of .462 while scoring 43 runs, driving home 29 runs, 14 doubles, 1 triple, and 12 home runs, and that was just his stats from last year, and he's yet to play his senior year. And the thing about baseball, which I don't know if all of our viewers are familiar with, it's very hard to get recruited with baseball. A lot of even the top players in baseball in the state tend to go the JUCO route and stand out at a JUCO and then go to a top college or even go from JUCO to pro. And it'll be interesting to see what route Kellner takes or even all of these other seniors. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And he goes to one of the top schools. Hamilton High School is a 6A school. And in Arizona, our top baseball schools, Brophy, Saguaro, Basha, and Hamilton. And yeah, it's just great to see Hamilton plays Brophy. I don't know if everybody knows, but Brophy is a preparatory private school, but they still play public schools like Hamilton, Saguaro, and Basha. So great player, and I'm excited for the baseball season in high school.
You mentioned something right there, and I want to get your guys' take on this. You said that they're a 6A team. I don't know how they did sports in Washington with divisions, because in California we have 5 divisions and then like a subset of 6 where it's like all the smaller schools. For all of our viewers who may be listening, in different states, because I know that obviously we're all from different states here, explain how the Arizona high school system works and then also the Washington high school conference system works.
So in Arizona, it's supposed to be a bit off of population, but it's mostly off of, a lot of it is talent as well. I mean, Saguaro, I covered Saguaro last year for an internship that I had during my senior year of high school, and Saguaro is sort of one of those schools that, although they are a public school, they do recruit, and they do have sponsorships through Nike and all of those things, even though they are a public school. So it's very interesting to see like 6A schools through that, but we have, I believe, 3 through 6 is most commonly that has sports that, compete to other schools. But my high school personally was 4A, and we moved down a rank, and that's when we started winning our championship last year. But 6A is typically the bigger schools. You see the prep schools, Brophy and all of that, but they play competitively with public schools as well.
Okay, so it's top down 6-1. Gotcha.
Yeah, so Washington's, I think, a little bit similar. I think our top, division is, I think we have a 5A. I went to a very small school. I went to a 2A school. But we played other 2A schools. But like you said, there were high schools who would jump the ranks a little bit. I think it's usually off of your size.
Yes.
But I remember we always play. It's like one of our main rivalries back home is the White River Hornets. They were. We played them all the time for football. But they were a way bigger school than us, and I think they jumped between 2 and 3A in the divisions, probably like you said.
Yeah, my school jumps between 4 and 5.
Yeah, which is like, what are you doing as a 3A school playing a 2A school? Let's be for real right now.
I don't understand exactly how the schools jump the rankings per se,
yeah,
but
me neither.
they do jump the rankings.
Yeah, so we have I believe we have 1 through 4A, and then I think we have a 1B and a 2B, but I'm not sure how those ones work. But it's definitely like Arizona for sure.
Okay, so the California system is divisions 1 through 5. So division 1 is all your big schools. Typically, it's also where if let's say I'll use this school, Jesuit High School is a private school, kind of like you touched on, and they would be really, really strong over the course of a cross-country, season. They went 5 seasons where, they won the Division II title. And so if you won a school title or a league title, in this case, enough times, they would move you up from the division. So they went from a D2 school to a D1 school. And then kind of similar case, they lost out, it would have been our junior year, they lost out in a cross-country division title, and then they got dropped back down to Division II, and we were like, oh, come on, there's a private school. They have, so much depth. They literally go out practically recruiting the top runners in the area. And so we ended up finishing runner-up, but we knew in our hearts, hey, if they wouldn't have been there, we would have won. So it's cool to see how each of the states work. I don't know how, the different, I know there's, different regions and conferences, nationally wise, but I know that California was weird just because the population was so big. It always kind of acted as its own conference. So I've never got to see what the other states had. So this is very interesting. Cool insight.
I also find it interesting. You call them it's like D1 and D2.
Yeah,
I've never heard that before.
College, D1 and D2.
I actually think I was talking to someone and they're like, yeah, I went to a D1 high school. And I'm like, what do you mean? That doesn't, I've only heard it in a college sense. So that's interesting to hear that you guys call it D1, D2 or whatever.
Another thing, I don't know if this, just to wrap, another thing for my school as well is it depended on the sport. Wasn't our school. Our schools technically, I don't know, in between 4 and 5 if you were looking at population. But depending on the sport and how good we were, my school personally, really good at golf, really good at swim, really good at lacrosse. So it depended on the sport what ranking we were. And so for football specifically, we were 4A, but I don't remember what we were for the other sports, but I know we weren't 4A across the board.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's cool, again, just to see that varying diversity within the ranks. But
yeah.
We're going to move on to our sport topic of choice. And, man, we got some good stuff going on with swim. We talked about the new head coach last week. Take it away, you guys.
Yes. So for our sport topic group choice, we kind of have a bit going on.
Big week for ASU sports.
Yes, it was just a great weekend for the Sun Devils, and swim set a lot of records, and they had an amazing first match, so I wanted to touch on that. But also something very interesting is the Big 12 makeover project, so we'll go over those two things quickly in the last bit of our show. So swim, their first match, new era as, men's NCAA champs last year, and new coach. And so they swept UNLV in their first match on Friday, and they won both men's and women's by over 130 points. So I went to the match, and it was just an amazing, I don't know typically how many, I'm assuming it's less crowds at a swim meet, but there was a great, it did last 3 hours, but there was a great crowd for most of it. I mean, they even handed out glow sticks, and they had people engaging the crowd, and we did the roller coaster thing, and but they only failed to place first in one event, which was the women's 100-yard breaststroke, but they placed first in all of them, and they even opened up the match with just a huge statement. They swept top 4 spots in the first event right off the bat, swept the first top 4 spots, and Ilya Caron, who placed first in 4 events, was also a bronze medalist in Paris. He won 2 bronze medals. And they also set women's relay medley, 200-yard relay medley, set a school record at 1:37 in their first race. So overall, it was amazing. I don't know if you guys heard about this match, but
I have not actually.
it was just great in the amount of records they sent in the sweep. And I mean, not just a win, but a win by over 130 points for both men and women. It was a great match.
For sure. I mean, even though we're having this new era with Sun Devil Swim, they have a legacy. Like, there's so many ASU alums who are going nationally as swimmers, like we saw in the Olympics, and like we said, we have an Olympic swimmer on the team right now. So it's just like mind-blowing how much how much recognition there is for swim that we can just list off right here.
Definitely. And before the show, we only have a few minutes left, or 1 minute left. But it was a great weekend for the Sun Devils. Volleyball swept BYU, swim and dive swept UNLV, and obviously we talked about our great hockey game, our great football game, and real quick, the Big 12 Makeover Project also happened this weekend, and it's a partnership with the College Football Playoff Foundation's Extra Yard for Teachers Makeover Project to renovate a local elementary school's library, STEM, or classroom space, and it also has a women empowerment event. And so it's just kind of amazing to see college football, because the athletes get involved with it, the coaches get involved with it, and the mascots get involved with it, being involved with the community and giving back.
For sure.
And that is something that you love to see. And on that happy high note, we're going to close out today's episode. Again, episode 5. Glad to have you guys with us. My name is Noah Reed, as always joined by
Ella Wolter-Sánchez
and Jordan Talley.
Thank you guys for listening.